This is the continuation of my conversation with Rachel, where I did not expect all the gaslighting from her, and didn't realize it was happening at first, but we're figuring it out. You mentioned Dad agreeing to things and Mom not. I know what phone call you're referring to because Mom and Dad called me right after. Mom and Dad are partnership, and Dad wouldn't agree to something that Mom wouldn't also be held to. Spouses can speak for each other, as you have done for Bryson for over a year now. If you don't believe that Dad can speak or agree to something on behalf of Mom, then how can we trust or believe anything you've told us about Bryson? So she's calling into question my credibility instead of holding her own mom accountable for anything. I was the one that was actually there for that conversation, and tempers were running high, and the only reason why Dad said yes was to end the conversation and to try to salvage anything he could. Dad said yes. Mom's actions and words said no. I'm sorry you feel like you now have to distance yourself and the kids. I know your son especially was looking forward to going to the family vacation this year. It's practically all he and Dad talked about on their Del Taco lunch during the tea party. You know we would all have enjoyed any time we had with you and them. Now, if that wasn't her trying to lay the guilt on nice and thick, there's more of that. She says this pressure and stuff must be really hard for you, and Bryson's a grown man, almost in his 40s, as if that's not insinuating that or continuing the perception that he's acting like a child in their eyes. Us and his family are not collectively the big bad wolf. He can stand for himself and reach out, but he hasn't. I don't think either of you know the extent and details of the tail end of my pregnancy and delivery, but I could have died. And that was a terrifying reality to face. And at one point in the hospital, when I was losing consciousness, I thought about how sad I was that Bryson had never reached back, and I hope he can someday, and I miss all you guys and still love you all, so does everyone else. I just wish you could see it. So no, we hadn't heard how dramatic her birth and delivery had ended up being. She neglected to mention any of that in the family Voxer chat before I left it. I believe her that it was difficult. I feel like she's only talking about it in this conversation as a way to, and bringing up my son wanting to go to the family get-together thing as a way to guilt me into dropping all my grievances, pretending they didn't happen, and continuing to hang out with them and take my mother-in-law's continued unfiltered words and behavior. Just suck it up and deal with it. Rachel, I understand that you're hurt and upset. Your feelings are real and valid. Your family circumstances have changed, and they're likely never to be the same again. Just because Bryson didn't attempt to mend things through your specifications doesn't mean they didn't happen. We're more than ready to come visit you with the boundary in place that Mom isn't there. This boundary was casually dismissed. Dismissing a person's pain and lived experience goes the opposite direction when it comes to mending relationships. Bryson cut you off because Kyle asked him to, or more demanded him to. With how rude and hurtful he was, you might want to talk to him about burning bridges on your behalf. If you haven't already, I personally would not have all-out blocked you, but that is what Bryson felt compelled to do after Kyle's communications. I'm sure Kyle's apology would go a long way in mending that fence, but I'm not getting my hopes up for that. If Bryson is more comfortable working through me, then that is what's going to happen. Calling him childish for doing so will not help your case, and I won't tolerate people complaining about it anymore. If you're not satisfied communicating through me, then we can end that too. Now, after that didn't work to how she expected, she backtracks. So legit trying to understand here, what exactly are you referring to by Bryson not attempting to mend things through my specifications? I haven't had any specifications. The only people having specifications have been you guys, and from what I gather from what you just said, the attempt to mend fences was just in the last week after Alex talked to him. I'm sorry, I just don't see any kind of attempt to mend things. From what I can make sense of, her idea of mending things would be for us to drop all accusations, drop all grievances of having been hurt or gaslit by mom, and pretend it never happened, and continue to come hang out and spend time with them. I've already tried to lay it out for her. These are our boundaries. You say yes, we can have a relationship. You say no, no relationship. It's that simple. Okay, I'm gonna try to sum up the best I can here because she gets real long-winded for a sec. She denies casually dismissing our boundary. It's like, just that mom was gonna be there or not be there. She mentions Kyle's communication with us, and how he's just blunt like that with everything. Yes, Kyle just wanted us to leave Rachel out of the conflict as far as the conversation. He didn't want Bryson to cut her out completely, but that's how severely Bryson felt after that interaction. Like, why wouldn't he have been upset in that moment where none of his siblings were standing up for him, saying, oh, those are very reasonable boundaries, mom should be able to handle that, and then to have his brother-in-law come out and call him childish and be rude like that, then it makes sense why he responded that way. As for calling Bryson childish, that's your words, not mine. I just said he was a grown man, which he is. The only complaint I have is that he isn't speaking for himself. I love you, Alina, but you're not Bryson. Goes on about you jumped to really drastic measures with threatening to end communication, and I'm not sure why. I have to wonder if something happened with you two today to make you react like this. No, we've just been educating ourselves on what behavior is acceptable and what isn't, and we're actually standing up for ourselves, and we're not going to take the crap anymore. She denies anyone accusing me of stuff, and I come back with, Bryson will speak for himself when he's ready and won't be guilted or manipulated into doing so before then. We've had that attempted already. Childish is Kyle's words, actually. And then referring to Adam and Alex. If Adam and Alex don't recall accusing me of stirring up drama or seeding guilt, I have the text right here on my phone. So it's at this point that I'm like, wait a minute, I don't think she understands what gaslighting is. And so I ask her what her understanding of it is. I'm not sure what that has to do with our conversation, but okay, gaslighting is a very strong and malicious word. And then she references this big, horrible, dramatic discovery in their family where they found out that her cousin had been essayed by a parental figure for since they were a young child. And that's the only thing Rachel understands about gaslighting.